The council chamber floated above the shining rings of a blue planet, its walls made of crystal that reflected the light of distant suns. Dozens of alien leaders sat in curved rows, their voices sharp, their eyes filled with pride. They had come together to end centuries of war, yet the air was heavy with arrogance. "They will come crawling," one reptilian leader said, his scales glowing faintly in the light. "Humans are desperate for peace. They have fought too many battles. They cannot resist the will of the galaxy." Laughter echoed through the chamber. A tall insectoid creature tapped its claws on the desk. "I heard their fleets are small, their technology is outdated. They may even beg for protection," but not everyone shared the laughter. An older alien with silver horns leaned forward, his voice low. "You speak as if you have forgotten. The stories of old warned us. Do not push humans, do not corner them. You may not like the answer you receive." The hall grew quiet for a moment, but soon the arrogance returned. No one wanted to believe in old tales. They believed in numbers, fleets, and weapons. At the center of the chamber stood a great seat. It was meant for humanity, but it remained empty. The council leader, a tall avian with shimmering feathers, spread his wings and addressed the hall. "Humanity has been invited to the council. Today we demand their pledge for peace. Without it, they stand against us all." Whispers spread quickly. Some said the humans would never dare appear. Others believed they were too weak. A few glanced nervously at the empty chair. Hours passed. The other empires spoke of treaties, trade routes and borders. Yet the human seat remained empty. Suspense twisted the air. Even the mocking voices grew uneasy. "Perhaps they refuse," one delegate hissed. "Perhaps they hide," another laughed bitterly. "Or perhaps they are already defeated, crushed in silence, too ashamed to show their faces here." The words carried far. But deep in the hall, one younger alien shivered. He remembered seeing humans once, scarred soldiers who carried themselves like storms. He whispered to his elder, "What if they come? What if the stories are true?" The elder said nothing, his eyes fixed on the great windows that looked into the stars. Then it happened. A soft hum echoed through the chamber. At first it was faint, almost like static. The delegates turned their heads, confusion spreading. "What is that noise?" the insectoid demanded. "It comes from the outer rim," a voice from the control deck replied. His hands shook as he looked at the scanner. Something very large is approaching." The council leader's wings stiffened. "Large? A fleet?" "No, not a fleet," the operator stammered. "A single signature, massive. Beyond anything in our records." The chamber filled with nervous whispers. Leaders leaned forward. Tails curled, claws tapped. The laughter was gone. The reptilian commander bared his teeth. "Show it on the screen." The glass wall shimmered, and the stars beyond shifted. A shape emerged, first only a shadow. Silent, patient, growing larger with every heartbeat. Gasps filled the hall. The shadow was a ship, but no ordinary vessel. Its hull stretched farther than the eyes could measure. Plates of dark metal glimmered faintly with scars of battles fought long ago. Weapons lined its body, silent but awake, like predators waiting for command. "Impossible," one delegate whispered. "No ship can be that size." The old horned alien closed his eyes, his voice shaking. "It is not a myth. They came." Panic threatened to erupt, but the council leader raised his voice. "Do not fear, this is only intimidation. They cannot fight us all," as if answering. The massive ship drifted closer. Its engines glowed like burning suns. No words came, no greeting, no call for peace. Only silence that pressed on every chest like a weight. The insectoid delegate slammed its claw. "This is not peace, this is a threat. Humans mock us with this." Monster, but others could not speak, their throats dry, eyes wide. The young alien leaned close to his elder, whispering, "Why do they bring such a ship to peace talks?" The elder did not look away from the giant shadow. "Because humans do not beg for peace," he said slowly. "They bring war, so no one dares break peace again." The silence stretched long. The massive ship continued its slow approach, its hull covering the stars, its presence filling the chamber with a fear no words could ease. Inside the chamber, the empty human seat seemed less like a weakness, and more like a warning. The other delegates realized too late. Peace talks had begun, but they would not end the way they expected. The council leader tried to speak, his voice cracking. Send them a message. Ask. Ask their purpose. The operator's hands shook as he activated the signal. Human vessel, this is the Galactic Council. State your... The reply came not in words but in silence. The massive ship pulsed once, lights rippling along its weapons. A quiet reminder that humanity did not need to speak. Their presence was enough. Whispers of fear spread. What if they fire? What if they came not for peace but for domination? The old alien leaned back, his horns catching the dim light, his eyes heavy with memory. This is their answer. This is how humans speak. With power too great to ignore, the delegates sat frozen. Trapped between fear and pride, the peace invitation had been sent. But the reply was not soft words or treaties. It was the shadow of the most dangerous warship in the galaxy. The hall, once full of mocking laughter, now trembled in silence. The humans had arrived not as guests, not as weak negotiators, but as something far more terrifying. And every leader knew in that moment that nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The council chamber felt smaller than before, though it was vast enough to hold thousands. Every alien leader sat stiff in their seats, their eyes fixed on the dark giant outside the crystal walls. The human warship loomed silently, its surface glowing with scars that told stories of battles none of them could imagine. No one dared to speak at first. Only the low hum of the control consoles filled the room. Finally, the council leader spread his wings nervously, his voice breaking the heavy silence. Open a direct channel again. We cannot allow this. Silence to continue. The operator nodded, his fingers trembling over the console. Channel open. Broadcasting now. For a moment, there was nothing, then a sound, low, steady breathing. It wasn't a message, it wasn't even words. But the weight of that sound carried into every corner of the chamber. The reptilian commander slammed his claws onto the desk, his voice sharp with anger to hide his fear. This is an insult. They show us their machine. They give us silence, and now they mock us with this noise. The insectoid delegate clicked its mandibles. Maybe it is a warning. They want us to know they are listening. A younger alien leader, her eyes wide, whispered softly. Or maybe they want us to know they don't fear us at all. The old horned alien, who had stayed quiet through much of the first debate, finally leaned forward. Do you not see? They don't need to speak. That ship outside is their voice. It says more than any words. His warning only fueled the tension. Arguments erupted across the chamber. Voices shouted over one another, some demanding immediate attack, others begging for caution. They can't fight us all. A scaled warrior growled, we have fleets, numbers, unity. Another hissed in fear. Numbers mean nothing if one ship can burn them down in seconds. The control operator suddenly shouted, cutting through the chaos, movement detected. Every head turned to the giant shadow. Its engines flared brighter. And for a terrifying moment, the delegates thought it was preparing to fire. Cries echoed across the chamber. Some dove behind their desks, others raised shields. But the ship did not fire. Instead, its weapons hummed faintly, their glow spreading like awakening eyes, and then, slowly, deliberately, it shifted its path until it faced the council chamber directly. The hall grew colder. Or perhaps it only felt that way. The silence returned, heavier than before. They are watching us, the insectoid delegate whispered. They can see us. Every one of us. The avian council leader raised his wings, trying to reclaim order. Do not panic. They cannot strike inside this chamber. Our defenses are strong. The horned elder shook his head, his voice grim. Strong against each other, maybe, but not against them. Suddenly, a sharp beep came from the console. The operator looked down, his face pale. We are receiving a signal. From the human ship. The room froze. Put it through, the council leader ordered. Though his voice shook, the signal filled the chamber. At first it was a burst of static, then a single voice, calm, cold, and human. You called for peace, the voice said. Each word echoed like thunder, but peace is not given, it is kept. And it is enforced. Gasps rippled through the delegates. Some trembled, others clenched their fists in anger. The reptilian commander shouted back at the screen, though he knew they could not hear. "You dare threaten us? You stand alone." The human voice continued, unshaken. "Alone is enough." And then silence again. The insectoid delegate rose from its seat. "We cannot allow this. If we bow today, tomorrow they will rule us all." But the young alien leader, her voice breaking, said, "Maybe they already do." The chamber descended into chaos once more. Dozens of voices shouting, "Attack, retreat, surrender, silence." The walls trembled with the noise of panic. Amid the uproar, the horned elder spoke loudly, forcing them all to listen. "We asked them to come. We believed them weak. We thought they would bend. But look outside. They did not come to bend. They came to show us why we should not press them." The avian leader tried to steady his wings. "We must respond carefully. If we show weakness, we are lost. If we show aggression, we are destroyed." He looked to the console operator. "Send a message. Tell them the council wishes to hear their terms." The operator hesitated. "And if they do not give terms?" The leader's feathers ruffled uneasily. "Then we pray they leave." Before the operator could act, the chamber's great crystal walls flickered. For the first time in its history, an image appeared not from their own systems, but forced into place. The face of a human officer filled the air, his eyes cold, his uniform sharp. Behind him, the warship's bridge glowed with dark light. "You gathered to test humanity," the officer said, his voice steady. "You wanted to see if we are weak. You have your answer." No one moved. Not a claw, not a wing, not a single breath. The officer leaned forward slightly, his gaze piercing through every leader. "This ship is not our strongest. It is not our newest. It is only what we chose to bring. Remember that before you decide your next words." With that, the image vanished, the crystal walls cleared, and the warship still hovered outside. Silent, waiting, the delegates sat in shock. No one dared speak for a long time. Finally, the insectoid delegate broke the silence, its voice faint. "If this is not their strongest, then what else do they have?" The elder with the horns closed his eyes, whispering so all could hear. "Something the galaxy is not ready to face." And with that, the chamber, once filled with pride and laughter, now drowned in fear. Humanity had spoken, not with treaties, not with begging words, but with power none of them could match. And every leader knew the peace invitation had turned into something else entirely. A choice between silence or survival. The chamber lights dimmed as if the room itself feared the shadow outside. Every seat was filled, yet the silence felt like pressure on the chest. The human warship hung beyond the crystal wall, calm and patient, like a giant eye that never blinks. "Send the message," the avian leader said. His voice kept steady by pure will. "Ask for terms. Ask for peace." The operator nodded, fingers cold on the console. Message sent. Awaiting reply. Nothing answered at first, only that deep quiet, that heavy stillness that made everyone feel small. Then the consoles flickered with a new feed, not from the warship, but from the council's own defense grid. Red icons lit up like sparks across a map of the station. "What is that?" the insectoid delegate hissed. Leaning forward, the operator swallowed. Unauthorized weapons moving through maintenance tunnels. Drones, many. They are armed. A wave of fear rolled through the hall. The reptilian commander stood, fangs bared. "Who sent them?" No one spoke, but eyes shifted toward a proud cluster of delegates in black armor. Their emblem was a golden claw, an empire known for ambush and deceit. Their leader lifted his chin with a cold smile. "We do not answer to fear," he said. "We answer it with strength. You planned an attack inside the chamber," the horned elder said, his voice rough with old anger. "During peace talks," the armored leader shrugged. "Peace is for those who can hold it." Before the hall could erupt, a sound rolled through the air like distant thunder. The crystal wall brightened as the human warship adjusted its angle. Its weapon banks glowed, then dimmed, as if it had taken a long, slow breath. "Shields up," someone cried. "Brace the chamber." But the warship did not fire. Instead, A narrow beam of pale light reached out and touched the defense grid. Code streamed across the consoles in strange glyphs. The operator stared, as if he had seen a ghost. "They are in our system," he whispered. "Not attacking. Updating." "Impossible," the armored leader spat. "They cannot breach our walls." One by one, the red icons on the map turned grey. The drones went still. Their power shut down without a shot, without heat, without smoke. The hall watched in disbelief as a single line of text appeared on the main display. It was a simple message from the human ship. "Your war is inside your house." A shocked murmur spread through the delegates. The avian leader raised his wings. "Security," he called. "Detain every unit near those tunnels. Bring the engineers to the floor." Guards rushed out, boots striking the glass pathways in the sudden motion. The armored leader stood as if preparing to give a signal. The horned elder watched him with tired eyes. "Do not," he said quietly. "You have already lost," the armored leader sneered. "We have not begun." A soft chime sounded. The human voice returned. Cold and steady. "Stand down," it said. "We prefer peace. But we will not allow murder under the word peace." The armored leader looked toward the window, toward the black shape that filled the stars. His voice dropped to a whisper. "You cannot command us." "We do not command," the human voice replied. "We prevent." The chamber doors opened again. Guards marched in with captured engineers and seized controllers. The proof was plain. The devices in their hands matched the drone signals. The room stared at the armored delegation, and the truth settled like dust after a fire. "You tried to start a war and call it defense," the insectoid delegate said. "Mandibles tight. You invited a giant and then poked its eye," the young leader added, fear and anger mixing in her voice. The avian leader's feathers trembled. "Remove their badges," he ordered. "Strip their vote. They will face trial." The armored leader laughed once, sharp and empty. "Trial. In front of the species you fear most." He turned toward the crystal wall, raised his chin and spoke to the ship. "You expect us to kneel?" The human voice did not answer. The ship did not move. It only existed, vast and patient. A presence that felt like gravity. The horned elder stood slowly. "Enough," he said. "We cannot keep pretending. We called them to test them, and some of us tried to kill them. They stopped the blood before it fell." He looked around the hall, his gaze landing on every corner. "You think power is only guns and walls. But power is also control, restraint, and timing." A new signal flashed. The human officer appeared again, his face lit by the dull glow of the bridge behind him. "You want terms," he said. "Here they are." No one breathed. The words felt like ice on the tongue. "First," the officer said, "no more raids on human borders. No more pirates sponsored by your flags. No more hunters wearing masks. We know who pays them. We will not ask twice. Second, civilian worlds are off limits. If one child is harmed, if one hospital is hit, we will take your fleets apart and hand them back to you in crates. Third, you will audit your own house. Remove the knives from your meetings. If you invite peace, then bring empty hands." The avian leader swallowed. "And if we accept, then you will not see us for a long time," the human officer said. "You will only see traders, explorers, and maps. And when you do see warships, they will be quiet and far away. And if we refuse," the reptilian commander asked, his voice low, the human did not blink, "then you will learn what this ship is for." The image vanished. The warship dimmed, waiting. The hall sat with the weight of choice. For a long time, no one spoke. The armored delegation stared at the floor. The old plans broken and sour. At last, the young leader rose. Her voice shook, but it did not break. "I accept," she said. "My worlds accept these terms." One by one, other voices followed, some loud, some soft, some angry, some relieved. The insectoid delegate clicked once. "We accept." The reptilian commander hesitated. Pride battling fear, he closed his eyes and finally said, "We accept." Only the armored leader stayed silent, his hands curled, his jaw tight. He looked at the guards, then at the crystal wall, and then he smiled a small bitter smile. "I will not accept," he said. The avian leader stared at him. "Then you will accept chains." The guards moved. The armored leader did not resist. He only whispered as they took him away. "You will regret kneeling." When the doors closed, the hall felt bigger again, not because the warship had shrunk, but because the room had chosen a path. The avian leader lifted his wings. "Send the response," he said. "We accept the terms." The operator sent the signal. "Hands steady now." The consoles glowed for a moment. And then the message confirmed. A simple ping returned from the human ship. No speech, no threat, only a soft acknowledgement. Outside, the giant vessel turned. Its engines brightened. It did not roar, it did not show teeth, it moved with calm purpose, drifting away from the station like a night tide going home. Stars returned in its wake, sharp and cold. The horned elder let out a slow breath. "They came with a blade," he said, "but they left us with a mirror." The young leader watched the stars reappear where the ship had been. "We thought peace was a seat and a speech," she said. "Today we learned it is a promise you must be ready to keep." The avian leader lowered his wings. "The hall finally still, let the record show," he said, "that we kept our lives because we kept our word." And far beyond the crystal wall, the most dangerous warship in the galaxy faded into distance, leaving no smoke, no wreckage, only a quiet sky and a lesson none of them would dare forget. The great chamber stood quiet long after the human warship drifted away from the Council's orbit. The crystal walls no longer reflected the glow of weapons, only the soft light of the nearby stars, yet the silence inside was not peace. It was tension held down like a lid on a boiling pot. Delegates shifted in their seats. Some whispered, some glared at one another, and some simply sat frozen, replaying the human officer's voice in their minds. The avian council leader spread his wings, trying to bring order. "We have agreed to their terms," he said slowly, "but agreement does not end the matter. We must prepare for what comes next." They gave no time, no limit, the insectoid delegate clicked. "They can return whenever they choose." "They will return if provoked," the horned elder said, his voice steady, "and you all know someone will provoke them." His words were truer than he realized. Even as the delegates argued, hidden messages passed through private channels, far across the chamber. The reptilian commander leaned toward one of his aides, speaking in a low growl. "They think one ship frightens us into chains. They forget we have allies of our own." The aide's eyes flickered nervously. "Do you mean to resist?" "I mean to survive," the commander said. "And survival means striking before the knife cuts." On the other side of the hall, the young alien leader who had spoken for acceptance earlier listened with unease. Her people were small, her fleets modest, but she understood the danger of pride. She turned to the horned elder. "They are not finished." "Are they?" The elder shook his head. "No. The humans left us breathing but not united. That is the true test." The avian leader called the chamber to silence again. "We will meet tomorrow to draft a public declaration for tonight. Return to your quarters." Guards escorted the delegates out, but suspicion and whispers filled every corridor. No one trusted the other. Every shadow looked like a spy. Every silence sounded like a trap in the dark of the station. The reptilian commander gathered a small circle of allies in a private hall. The armored delegation that had tried to use drones sat with him, stripped of their vote but not of their ambition. "They humiliated us before every world," the reptilian hissed. "If we bow now, our empires crumble," the armored leader sneered. "We could not stop their code, but perhaps code is not the answer. Perhaps flesh is." One of his generals leaned forward, eyes sharp. "You mean assassins?" The armored leader nodded slowly. "If their officer dies, the warship loses its will. Machines do not rule themselves. It is the humans we must cut." The reptilian commander's eyes narrowed. "And if they learn it was us, they will not," the armored leader promised. "We will make it look like pirates, rebels, anyone but us." The plan was set in whispers, and like poison it began to spread. Meanwhile, the young leader could not sleep. She stood before the wide glass of her quarters, staring at the faint trail of the human ship in the distance. Her aide entered quietly. "You are troubled. They are plotting," she said. "I can feel it. The council is still at war. Even with itself." "What will you do?" the aide asked. She pressed her hands against the glass. "Warn them. Her aide's eyes widened. "The humans?" "Yes," she said firmly. "If someone strikes, we all burn. My people cannot survive such fire. I will not gamble with their lives." But even as she spoke, the walls of the station trembled faintly, not from an attack but from movement inside. Hidden ships detaching, shuttles breaking away from private docks, moving with their lights off into the shadow of the planet's rings. By dawn, the council chamber opened again. Delegates filled their seats, faces tired. The avian leader began. "We are here to—" The crystal wall suddenly darkened. Alarms screamed across the consoles. The operator's voice broke through. "Unauthorized vessels leaving the station, 6 craft, no transponders. Signatures confirmed." The hall erupted. The avian leader slammed his wings. "Whose ships are they?" The reptilian commander's face was stone. "Not mine," he said flatly. The armored leader gave a small smile. "Rebels, perhaps. Pirates." As the humans warned, the horned elder stood, his voice cutting through the noise. "Do not lie to yourselves. This is the same hand that released drones yesterday. And if those ships strike the humans, we will all pay the price." As if to confirm his words, the consoles flashed again. The warship had reappeared. Its engines lit like a new sun. It was already moving toward the rogue ships. "No," the avian leader whispered. "If they believe it is the council attacking—" The words ended in a sharp flash outside the glass. The human warship fired a single beam, precise as a needle. It did not destroy the rogue ships. It only shut them down, freezing them in space like insects caught in ice. A message followed instantly, filling the chamber with the human officer's voice. "You promised peace," he said. "Calm but heavy, yet you test it every hour. Do not mistake restraint for weakness. We will not warn again." The armored leader clenched his fists. The reptilian commander lowered his eyes but said nothing. Fear had finally touched even his pride. The young leader rose, her voice trembling but clear. "Enough games, every test, every lie. It brings us closer to destruction. We have seen their power. We know their reach. If we continue like this, there will be no council left to argue." Some nodded. Some looked away, but none could deny her words. The human ship lingered a while longer outside, silent and vast. Then, without another word, it turned once more toward the stars, its shadow sliding away like a storm that chose not to break. In the silence that followed, the avian leader spread his wings wide. "Let this be the end of arrogance," he said. "Let us speak not of pride, but of survival. Humanity will not forgive another betrayal, and neither will history." The horned elder lowered his gaze. "We asked for peace, and they showed us war. Perhaps it is time we learn the difference." The chamber stayed silent. For the first time, not from fear alone, but from understanding. Suspense still lingered in every breath, but beneath it was something new, resolve, fragile yet alive. And in the hearts of every delegate sat the same truth, carved deeper with every encounter. The most dangerous warship in the galaxy had given them another chance, and they could not waste it again. The council chamber felt heavier than ever. The words of the human officer still echoed in every mind. "We will not warn again." That single sentence had become a shadow over the galaxy. The avian leader stood tall, his wings spread wide as he addressed the hall. "We are on the edge of ruin. Humanity has spared us twice, and twice we nearly destroyed ourselves. This council cannot survive another betrayal. Speak now and speak truth. Who among us still plots against peace?" No one moved. Some lowered their eyes, others clenched their jaws. The reptilian commander sat rigid, his scales tight with tension. Beside him the armored leader, now stripped of power but still present under guard, smirked faintly as if enjoying the chaos he had helped create. "You waste your breath," the armored leader said loudly. "They do not respect us. They fear us as little as they fear the dust of space. Their warship proved it, and you all sit here trembling, ready to obey like servants." The horned elder leaned forward, his voice cutting like a blade. "Better servants alive than masters buried. You speak of pride, yet all you have sown is shame." The armored leader's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing more. The insectoid delegate clicked nervously. We cannot continue like this. Fear eats at us. Suspicion poisons us. The humans watch from the dark, waiting. Perhaps the next time they will not wait. Perhaps they will strike first. The young leader rose slowly, her hands trembling but her voice steady. Then we must do what we have never done. We must stand together. Not against them, but with each other. If we cannot hold peace here, how can we ask for peace with humanity? Murmurs spread. Some nodded, some scoffed. The reptilian commander finally stood, his voice low and sharp. And what of strength? What of honor? Do we kneel before a single ship? Do we let them dictate our laws? Strength is not destroyed by wisdom, the young leader replied quickly. Honor is not lost by survival. The chamber stirred again, but before the argument could grow, the operator at the console paled. Incoming transmission not from the warship, from inside the station. The avian leader frowned. Inside, the screen flickered, filling with the image of masked figures cloaked in shadow. Their voices distorted. The council has failed, the voice declared. You kneel before humans, you betray your people. We will not accept this. Gasps spread across the hall. Who are they? Someone demanded. Traitors, the horned elder muttered. His voice thick with dread. The masked figures continued. Even now our allies move. We strike not just here, but across your worlds. You think the humans protect you. They cannot protect you all. The signal cut, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. The avian leader snapped his wings. Find them. Lock down every deck. The operator's hands shook. Too late, they triggered something. Systems are failing. The chamber lights flickered. The air vents groaned. The crystal walls trembled. Outside, the stars blurred as the station's orbit shifted dangerously. Stabilizers offline, the operator cried. We are falling into the planet's rings. Panic erupted, delegates shouted, guards rushed to secure exits. The avian leader tried to keep order, but the chamber shook again, sending shards of crystal scattering in the chaos. The young leader's voice broke through. Signal the humans, tell them what happened. They can save us, the reptilian commander snarled, and prove we are nothing without them. The horned elder gripped his arm. Better nothing than ash, the operator sent the signal. Hands flying across the console. Message away, he whispered. I only hope they hear us. For long moments, nothing came. The chamber swayed as the station tilted. The glow of the planet's rings grew brighter, threatening to tear the massive structure apart. Then outside the crystal wall, the shadow returned. The human warship, silent as ever, moved closer. Its engines burned white. Its weapons glowed faintly. But this time they were not aimed at the council. They were aimed at the collapsing orbit. Are they helping us? The insectoid delegate whispered. Beams of energy shot out, striking the station's failing stabilizers, not to destroy them, but to replace them. To hold the massive structure steady with sheer force, the grinding sound of metal slowed. The chamber steadied. The delegates stared in awe. The console flickered again. The human officer appeared, his voice colder than ice. We warned you, and still you let traitors move in your halls. Know this, we save you not because you deserve it, but because the innocent live here. But this is the last time. Fail again, and we will not hold the station. We will watch it burn. The image cut, the warship remained, steadying the station until the engineers regained control. Slowly, systems came back online. The tilt eased. The crystal walls stopped trembling. The chamber sat in silence, breathless, afraid to even move. Finally, the avian leader spoke, his voice weak but clear. We live because of them. Again, the horned elder closed his eyes. And if we fail again, we die because of ourselves. The reptilian commander lowered his gaze, silent for the first time. The armored leader sneered, but even his voice shook. They cannot watch us forever. The young leader looked at the stars beyond the glass. No, they cannot, she said softly. But they do not need to. We know now what waits if we fall. That is enough. The warship lingered a while longer before drifting back into the void. The chamber was left in uneasy quiet. Suspense still hung in the air. But so did a bitter truth. Humanity had saved them again. But their patience was running out, and every leader understood deep inside. that the next mistake would not bring warning, it would bring fire. The council chamber was quiet after the near fall into the planet's rings. The crystal walls shimmered faintly as repairs began, but every delegate sat with the same weight on their shoulders. Humanity had saved them again, and the warning was clear. There would not be a third time. The avian leader spread his wings, though they trembled with exhaustion. "This cannot continue," he said. "We have been tested, and we failed twice. We must act now, or we will be remembered only as ashes. The question is simple. Do we change, or do we end?" No one answered right away. The reptilian commander stared at the floor, pride struggling against the fear clawing at his chest. The insectoid delegate shifted nervously. "The humans will not wait forever. They said this was the last time." The horned elder leaned forward, his voice low but sharp. "And they meant it. Their patience is not weakness, it is choice, and choice is power. We must decide what we are: fools who invite our own deaths, or leaders who can finally learn." From the back of the chamber, the armored leader laughed. The sound bitter. "Learn what?" he mocked. "To kneel forever, to build our futures on fear. They will never see us as equals. You all know it. They came with a blade, and you mistake it for a gift." The young leader rose quickly, her voice ringing through the hall. "No," she said, "they came with a mirror. And what we saw was ourselves, divided, greedy, blind. If we keep looking at them, we will see nothing but fear. But if we look at what we have become, maybe we will finally change." The words struck the chamber harder than any weapon. For a moment no one spoke, not even the armored leader. Then the operator gasped from the console. "Signal from the warship. They are broadcasting to the entire station." The crystal wall lit up with the face of the human officer once more. His eyes were calm, his expression unreadable. Behind him, the vast bridge of the warship glowed with silent power. "You live today because we chose it," the officer said. "But choice is fragile. You think yourselves rulers, yet you cannot even keep peace in your own chamber. If you cannot unite, then your council is nothing, and we will not waste words on nothing." The avian leader stepped forward. "We understand. We have seen our weakness." The officer cut him off, his voice sharper now. "Words are wind. Show us action. Show us unity, not tomorrow, not in years." Now gasps rippled across the room. The delegates looked at one another, stunned. The horned elder's voice broke the silence. "He is right. Words mean nothing here, only choice. And we must make it." The young leader nodded. "Then let us prove it." She looked around the hall, her eyes meeting every pair of eyes that would meet hers. "Let us sign now, not tomorrow, a vow that none will strike against humanity, a vow that we will protect peace together. If we fail, then we deserve what comes." The insectoid delegate clicked loudly. "Yes, I agree." The reptilian commander clenched his fists, his pride screaming inside. But then he remembered the warship's power, the ease with which it had shut down fleets and saved the station. His shoulders lowered. "I agree," he said at last, his voice rough one by one. Voices followed, some loud, some trembling, but each carrying weight. They signed their acceptance into the record, their marks glowing across the chamber, binding them not with law, but with fear and necessity. Only the armored leader remained silent. His smirk faded into something darker. "You think this changes anything?" he said. "You think humans will leave us be? They will return again and again, and each time you will kneel lower." The avian leader fixed him with a cold stare. "Remove him." Guards stepped forward. The armored leader did not fight this time. He only whispered as they dragged him away, "You will kneel until your knees break, and then you will crawl." The chamber doors closed behind him, leaving the council with their decision. The avian leader raised his wings. "The vow is made. Let it be shown to the humans." The operator transmitted the signed vow. The chamber held its breath. The warship outside loomed like a mountain in the stars. Silent, waiting, finally, the human officer's image returned. His eyes scanned the vow. Then he gave a single nod. "We accept," he said. "Know this. Our eyes are always open, not to rule you, but to guard against the old mistakes. Keep this vow. And you will not see our warships again. Break it, and you will see more than this one." The image vanished. The warship shifted in the stars, turning slowly until its engines faced the council once more. Then, without a word, it moved away, drifting into the black void. Smaller with every moment until it was gone, silence filled the chamber. But it was not the silence of fear this time. It was the silence of relief, of survival. The young leader let out a long breath. "We are alive," she whispered. The horned elder nodded. Yes, alive, but watched. And perhaps that is what we needed. The avian leader lowered his wings, his voice heavy. "Then let us not waste the gift. For the most dangerous warship in the galaxy gave us more than fear. It gave us a chance to change, and we must not fail again." The council adjourned, but none left quickly. They lingered, looking at the empty human seat at the center of the chamber. Once a mark of arrogance, now a reminder, the reminder that peace was not weakness, but survival, and survival was now their only path. Far away in the darkness, the human warship vanished into the stars, leaving behind silence, fear, and perhaps, at last, the fragile beginning of true peace.